Hi there, Phil Bauman for Health is Social. Some quick thoughts about the relationship between providers, healthcare providers, and patients via social networks. There's been some discussion recently. There's a physician educator named Amanda Cunningham who's posted some thoughts about this. Many people, I don't think, have understood very clearly what some of the points she was getting at. I'll put the link in the comments here to that. But what I've noticed in some of the discussion is there's been a bit of a kind of a dismissive, superficial, sounds a little insulting, but let's go with that one, attitude with regard to our understanding, examination, and investigation into the true meaning and nature of online relationships. I think that generally speaking in these discussions there's an assumption that there's a linear porting of three-dimensional interactions face-to-face out at a grocery store and what happens online. That there's this linear relationship between the two. That may be. But we have to know these things through more critical analysis and experimentation and really using the scientific method. Opinions and hunches don't work. This is not how healthcare has advanced. It has advanced because of critical thinking and the scientific method and other uses of intelligent minds reasoning together to create professions and bodies of knowledge and wisdom. I think we need to do this here because with respect to social media and healthcare, it would be rather unfortunate if the philosophy and the so-called little civilization that we're building has implanted at it in the beginning assumptions that were not vetted and examined thoroughly enough, because then it affects everything that's built up from then on. So let's look at it, and I won't necessarily offer answers here. This is really a little bit of an initializing of some discourse. But are relationships on Twitter and Facebook and blogs and Skype and anywhere else truly exactly like they are offline? Well, there are differences. And there are differences in patterns that are generated. So, for instance, if a physician meets a patient in the grocery every once in a while, say once every year, that may be okay. But then to say, well, it's just like that on Twitter, on Twitter or on Facebook or online, it's just like that because you meet someone once in a while and it's no big deal. Maybe not. But we know that the universe doesn't work according to linear structures all the time. It's a curvilinear world. Look at nature. Everything is curvy, okay? And if you're a physician or a nurse, you understand a thing or two about calculus. If you look at the world, there are power distributions. So, just because the frequency, say you meet somebody in January and then you meet them in December and you run into them once in a while, well, that's a certain frequency of meeting, a certain frequency of interaction face-to-face. But online, the interactions might be weekly, monthly, or daily, or even hourly. So the frequency is different. The variable of time is different between those two worlds. And so we need to, I won't say calculate with precision, but we need to take that into consideration, that just alone, that one change in the variable can change the nature of the relationship between the patient and the provider. Does it increase the chances of boundary violations? This isn't so much about whether a physician might get sued or those concerns. They're valid, perfectly valid concerns in themselves, but ultimately we have to take the patient into account. And the fact is that when we do things online, we tend to have a very narrow moment-to-moment awareness of what we're doing. So if you're tweeting here and Facebooking here and posting here and interacting, and you have certain relationships with people, well, over time you can develop patterns about that person that we don't realize we're building. And so when it comes to healthcare, I think we do need more serious discussion about it. And it's rather disturbing to hear healthcare professionals have a kind of a dismissive attitude. And I've even noticed that if you even raise these issues, some people have been called a Luddite, you don't get it. This is argumentum ad hominem. And there are other fallacious kinds of thinking that I'm starting to see, and it's rather disturbing. So if you're a healthcare professional and you really, really care about social media in healthcare, and if you really do have patient safety and effectiveness foremost in your mind, then you have a responsibility, I would say a duty. It really is a duty to think critically about this stuff and be prepared to have your assumptions challenged and maybe overturned. If you're right in your beliefs, then why would you be afraid of putting them under the scrutiny of the scientific method? Imagine yourself a patient in the ICU. You're 3 or 4 minutes away from brain death. Do you want a room full of people who barely got through medical or nursing school, who really aren't deep thinkers, who are dismissive of things, who don't think critically? Or do you want people who are critical thinkers, who are willing to trade their mistaken beliefs for the truth? I think it's time that we go back and look at the origins of healthcare and ask ourselves, if we started to build healthcare today, with today's technologies and cultural systems and beliefs and ideologies, what would it look like? What would we do? How would we handle Twitter and Facebook and all these other applications and all of this 24/7 connected life? How would we address boundaries? Would we say that a physician or nurse needs to have a white coat online? And maybe today's white coat is maybe another avatar, another persona, so to speak. One that's transparent and professional, but there it is. I offer you the white coat of social media. And yeah, the white coat isn't perfect, but there was a reason why it was designed. Maybe we need to go back to that, examine it, and see how applicable it is today. I'm going to close with saying, do your best to be a little bit critical thinking here, and don't attack people because they don't agree with you. Like I said, if you care about patients in healthcare and social media, if you're really passionate about it, take those passions and put it into critical thinking. This has been Phil Bauman for Health is Social. I hope you enjoy your day. Cheers.